All right, I'm here with Josh from Jackson Home Inspection, and we're gonna go over what to look for in a basement in a house that's been turned into a condo. So old house that's been redone, hopefully the right way. What do we look
Exactly.
for?
All right, guys, so we're in the basement of a house that's probably labeled as 1910, 1920. That's probably not the real age. They've lost a lot of the records. So that being said, either way, with an older house, we're gonna have a stone foundation, as we see over here. So things we wanna watch for in these foundations is moisture movement coming in through the walls, bowing in the walls. If you ever see a big belly in the middle, that's usually an issue, and that's usually from pressures on the outside of the house. What we can expect with any of these types of foundations that we'll get a little bit of moisture coming through, and that's what you're seeing in these spots here. In this case, it's not too bad. Sometimes you see on the floor, it'll water stain the walls over here, and that's usually the sign that you're gonna have consistent moisture in the basement. We have a couple of components that we have to really pay attention to. This is our sill, and that's the first connection between the foundation and the house. And that's very important because that is where termites and copper ants will start attacking your home. So this is something home inspectors will be checking for. Today I went around to all the sill and I probed it to make sure there wasn't any signs of damage to that. We did find a little damage in the corner up here. Not enough that it's significant to replace it or anything, but it's good to know those things so that the homeowner can monitor that now. Okay. We have floor joists up here. And then those floor joists are carried by this beam over here. And that's the connection between the foundation and in the middle of the house. So that's where all the weight gets carried. In this case, we have options here. We can do some insulation up here, but in my opinion, I love that it's not insulated today so I could see everything. Down the road, they could probably do that. Okay. So that's really the main components of the structure. We're looking for any broken floor joists, any cut floor joists, any parts of the beam that was removed, any supports that were removed. Sometimes people remove supports so that they can get bigger room in the basement, then you get big sags in your floor. That's not the case here. This place is very solid today.
And Josh, what would be a couple red flags for people? Something that's more than just a little minor issue.
So if I took my screwdriver and probed the sills, if my screwdriver goes deep into the sill, that's either termites, copper ants, or water damage. So if we see something like that, that's a big expense to replace that. That can happen on the sill. It can happen on the main beam. Okay, so those are red flags that you know you're going to be making a big investment.
Okay, thanks.
The bowing in the foundation can be a big red flag because that'll move this wall away, and then you won't have support between these anymore. Okay, mold, that's one thing that we find in a lot of these older places, and that's usually when we cover things in too closely and there's water accumulation with no air movement. So what I always tell people, when you see the house as a showing, it's the best the house is gonna be. So if it smells bad, if it's moist down there, it's not gonna get better, it's gonna get worse. So maybe move on from a house like that.
Yep, good point. I always tell people what you see is what you get. Don't imagine you're gonna come when it's yours and everything's gonna be different all of a sudden.
Exactly. So we have a couple other components over here that we want to be aware of if you want to follow me. There is a water pipe that comes into your home here. And one of the things we have to check for is we don't want a lead water pipe because that could be unhealthy for us. We don't want a steel water pipe because that tells me it's older and we'll need replacement soon. So copper or plastic is really what we like to see. Okay, in this case it's copper. Okay. Gas meters is not anything that home inspectors cover. So basically we're going to check through all the plumbing system. In here we have PVC plumbing that comes down and it connects into the old cast iron where it goes out to the street. This is really good plumbing. If you see this, you should be in pretty good shape. If you see this type of piping here, this PEX tubing, that means this is newer and it's going to last a long time. So fewer connections as opposed to a copper connection up here. So it just lasts longer and it's a better product that they used. So those are a few of the things to look for when you're looking at a home inspection. But yeah, generally the big items, the structure, the electrical, the plumbing, the heating, all of those are big concerns in the basement.
Great. Thanks for going over that with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.